parents and whatever bad policies they had would either form their kids or society must correct the child. But now society doesn't correct. In years now, we have not seen any form of capital punishment. In some states now, if a kidnapped victim dies in your custody, it's death sentence. But the laws are just there. There's a high level of Yahoo we have legitimized. Mothers spend Yahoo funds given to them by their children and they excuse it. A set of boys who are supposed to have been in an Islamic school, one of them dated a girl, invited her to Kogi State where they not only killed her, roasted her, dried her body parts, pounded it, and society still didn't react. We're looking at young boys having unexplainable means of monies in their accounts. We're quiet. As society, too many things that we have allowed, is too wide.
The rise of ritual killings among Nigerian youth has gotten increasingly highly worrisome in recent times. And it has got people talking on social media. There was a video of a 100-level biology student of Federal University Lokoja in Kogi State confessing to ending the life of a female colleague who he kidnapped. The young man, identified as Jeremiah, was arrested by the Nigerian police officer in Kogi State. He took the girl to the bush and he buried the girl. The girl's name is Deborah, a female colleague. So we want to discuss this. We are discussing it because it is gruesome. What sort of person would do a thing like this? We saw the video, very young. Who should we hold accountable for this heart-wrenching trend? Is it the parents, the society, the social media, the law enforcement, or the judiciary? Who should we hold responsible? And most importantly, what can be done to reverse this ugly trend? That's what we'll be discussing on the show today. You saw the video. I know that Mariam was highlighting the fact that the boy looks so young
and innocent,
and even innocent. Like he's someone you will see and say, no, it's not true. If he wasn't really caught in the act. How did that make you feel, Mariam?
Yeah, it's really sad. You know, there used to be a time when you talk about ritualists and kidnappers, you imagine these old men with pot bellies who were going around, you know, preying on young people. But you never would think that young people, still in their innocence, would carry out, you know, gruesome acts like this. It's really sad. And I've just been thinking what is feeding into that behavior. What is it that our young people are learning that even gives them the audacity, the mindset that you can carry a whole human being and kill that person? Growing up, even to kill, you know, when you see animals being killed, like the ones that we eat, the chicken and the rams, there's a way a young person is, I don't want to see this. But now, you're a young boy, you're in 400 level, you've just your whole life before you, and you already have the mindset of killing, you know. And if it was, you know, there are issues where we talk about mental health, or maybe some people have psychological issues, but this killing is a ritual killing. So this is killing for material gain. So not only did this person kill and harvest her organs and body parts, also collected a ransom for the parents, you know, it's so that he can get what? What is it? What is so important? What materialistic thing in this world is so important that you're willing to take another's life and also completely end yours because your life has ended? That is it. This is the end of your life, that you have been caught. And, you know, when they catch them, I always say this. If you're a criminal, if you're an evil person, when they catch you, just carry it with your full chest. But they start screaming and crying. I'm like, what did you expect that will happen to you? You do not expect that this behavior has consequences. What are you crying about? You are crying that you've been caught. What did you expect, that your life will just go on freely and happily after you have destroyed others? Sad.
This is a sad one, very painful one. And the story had brewed over a while before the video of, you know, how she was strangled. There was a rope around her neck and he confessed to dragging her there, you know. And I was just worried listening to it. I felt, who do I blame? Just as you were asking. I started with his parents, but then I blamed society. You know, parents and whatever bad policies they had would either form their kids or society must correct the child. But now society doesn't correct, and it comes down to, in years now, we have not seen any form of capital punishment. We wonder...
Thank you.
We wonder why there's an increase the laws are being passed daily. In some states now, if a kidnapped victim dies in your custody, it's death sentence. I think about 6 states have passed it into law, Kano recently, and you have more states like that signing up. But the laws are just there. The governors,
we need to call out our governors.
Run elections every 4 years, get in office. They don't know it is important to sign death sentences. If a person exhausts, I'm not saying that the courts are perfect. I'm saying if a person has exhausted their appeals, they've gone all the way to the Supreme Court, don't continue to use taxpayers' money to maintain them. Because society now thinks, if I get into the prisons or the custodial centers and I get holy or get pious, there should no longer be consequence. There's human law, there's God's law. And we don't enforce that. That's one. The second one is that we also are, accommodating of materialism. There's a high level of Yahoo we have legitimized. Mothers spend Yahoo funds given to them by their children, and they excuse it. And so the person who know if you do, be looking. Last year or last 2 years, a set of boys who are supposed to have been in an Islamic school, were somewhere in Ogun State hatching what to do with human body parts. They Googled it, they studied it. They had gone on Facebook. Then they thought, okay, how do we get a woman? One of them dated a girl, invited her to Ogun State, where they not only killed her, roasted her, dried her body parts, pounded it, the entire process.
As they saw it on
human interest in the newspapers.
Yes.
And society still didn't react. We're looking at young boys having unexplainable means of monies in their accounts. We're quiet as a society. Recently, a set of boys who have been extradited to the US for sextortion.
Yeah.
These boys didn't think anything was wrong in sextorting. It's just sextorting now. Take their nude. So they took nude pictures that act a page of a female American and used it to request nudes of an American boy.
That happened.
Yeah. And they got the nudes, and then they started to use it to blackmail the American boy, asking for $1,000. This boy is less than 18. He doesn't even have the meaning. The boy kept begging them in the space of about 6 hours. The conversation was ongoing, and he was saying, I have only $300. He has sent it, please. And they were saying, okay. And he had said in the video, at this point, I think I should just kill myself. They said, go ahead, or we'll make you. Nigerian boys who are supposed to be under their mothers' wrappers. So, as society, too many things that we have allowed, it's too wide.
You have to tell us how that story ends.
So, fortunately, Nigerian government on this one did something. When the American government investigated and said this is a crime in their country, and they wanted to enforce it, they have a crime established. They found the boys' names and everything, and the Nigerian government just put them in prison. Now they've extradited 2. One is still in court trying to fight against his extradition, but 2 have gone. They'll be facing the American legal system for whether they are free or not. And you see it happen there. How many kidnappers have we been successful here with? Evans is still on trial. He's still just going up and down. Even though his victims are there trying to find solace, we still have children being kidnapped on our expressways, Benin or a road, every time. And nothing happens. They make money, they go back and re-strategize on another victim. We must have a system that is against it. Apart from kidnapping as a problem starting from this materialism that we have allowed, we have other ones. We have the robberies, we have the frauds and all of that we are allowing as a society, and we must have continuous precedents against these ills for it to change.
Yeah, so let me add to that story. I think the boy is how old? I say it is like 15 years.
Yeah.
16 years. And that's the reason why Australia now, they're trying to ban the use of social media from a certain age. They said they're going to ban TikTok and all those other
platforms.
So do you feel like, we're trying to analyze your thoughts and who do you believe is responsible? So you're thinking social media might have supported some of these things?
Yes, social media mostly. I remember last year when Buhari was in regime, he said lazy youths. That the youths are very lazy. And to a large extent, yes, everybody is looking for fast money, how they can make fast money. And, when these things are the menace to our society. It's not just only the rituals, thing. There is cybercrime. There's also this the Yahoo thing that people do. Fine. So the ritual thing, what happened with him was that when they asked him, he said he only killed her, that he didn't even remove her parts. So you killed her. Who did you go and tell that their body is a body? Yes, they now came to remove the parts and all. So he started lying and he started crying. What were you expecting? You did that and you're expecting that you won't get caught. You get caught some one way or the other. So now it's coming from a failed family system and also a failed government society, just like what Nima said. Society is already very corrupt and they support all these practices somehow, one way or the other. Just like Nima said, if they can bring anybody to book, it will drastically reduce this ritual killings and all this kidnapping and the cybercrime we see around. I think if that happens, we'll see something that will definitely come out.
For me, I feel that it was, I agree with everything that has been said because really, we've discussed this several times. We've discussed the fact that ritual killings happening among young people is becoming a trend. In the beginning, we felt it was just one of, this wicked person, this one is an unusual one. But when you are seeing it across, this is in Kogi, we saw one in Port Harcourt. We've seen in Ogun State, we're now seeing that it is not tied to a part of the country. It is not tied to socioeconomic class. This is happening across the country. Then it means that there is something we are not getting right. And we have highlighted some of the challenges. One big thing is consequences. It is what will deter people from doing what we're meant to do. And we've mentioned it here a few times. We have to mention it over and over again. Our governors need to sign death warrant, like sign for capital. Those people that have been sentenced to death should be allowed to carry out their the punishment that has been assigned to them. And I don't see, especially when we want to deal with an issue, when you see this is a problem and I want to deal with it, we have to make a public show. Making a public show of it means that we would sign the death warrant. The governor will talk about it, that these 5 kidnappers that led to the death of these 5 people have now been sentenced to, not only have they been sentenced to, they will face the death by hanging. That sends a stronger message than any other thing. I also support the showing of video.
Yes.
Because when we saw the face of this young person, every other person knows that my face will go out. My parents will be put to shame. My family, everybody will get to know about what I have done. But he didn't like his face being, there was that shame and stuff in his face when his video was being recorded.
We're not older than the...
Please let me take Yakub, I'll come to you. Just immediately. I take Yakub, I'll come to you. Welcome to the show, Yakub. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Miriam and then
Ramatu.
Ramatu.
Good morning.
I think I have paid off. They have already paid off. Sister Nima said something like that, and then you're already spotted on that float as well. What is it that when the case passed through the court, up to Supreme Court, as case may be, in most cases, some cases, in terms of capital punishment. And then after this case, and then the governor, they will never sign the death warrant. And then the day of their swearing in, they will say, I solemnly swear. Also say that they will respect. They will just lie to Nigerian citizens because it is part of their responsibility to sign the death warrant of somebody that came, that already ascertained that soon let this person take someone's life. Let me give you a typical example here, Tope. Do you remember when the daybreak happened in Abuja, when those Boko Haram went to Kuje prison and free all those Boko Haram that were in detention? So the question we need to ask our leader is this: the Boko Haram are taking a lot of people's lives. What made them keeping them for so long? For them saying that their members have come back, they free all those guys, and then they begin to compensate again. Now, I think at this document, this is our own personal opinion. I think we need to take our law. I think our representatives and the senators and the House of Representatives, they need to do it for. What am I saying is, if the governor fails to sign the death warrant of people that are taking someone's life, what will maybe to bury that for the judge? When the judge gives it the judgment and then they are certain that truly this person has killed somebody, we don't need So, I made a constitution. That's my personal opinion. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you so much. So it was saying that once they exhaust their appeal, the law should be changed that it does not require the governor's consent to execute the order. That it should just be, you've exhausted your appeal, the judgment is implemented regardless. Because I think some of our governors, because of religious tendency, don't want to put pen to paper to say I'm signing off someone's life.
I killed someone.
Yes, because it feels like I'm the one killing. But if you can sign pardon, you should be able to sign the death as well. It's just
your business is to manage society. Society must run. It must be on rewards and consequences. You know, we don't even reward good things, and we don't leave consequence for bad. Everybody is somebody we cannot handle. And it's where it's leading us that is dangerous. We become like lawless. People don't see. People think, you know, I just need to know somebody, and things will be fine. People don't see consequence for these actions. And so, wait, what's the big deal? What's the worst that can happen? I will just go. The boy that killed a girl when he had advertised a job in Kwaibom, and this young girl unfortunately told her friend, and she went to that interview. She was now missing for
relationship.
The boy had he was not like this one. He didn't have any soberness on his face. He sat comfortably in that.
Nothing has happened to
Yes, nothing has happened. We are sure that nothing will happen and nothing has happened. He was reassured that nothing will happen and nothing has happened. That confidence is why we should be scared. You see now, you talk to a young boy who is just wondering that, why are you not in school? Why don't you have a job? And the boy will look at you like a busybody. And if you go to the mom as well, you're a busybody. In those days, we were not allowed idleness. They go find work, give you, go work here. You know, I wrote my junior WAEC, and between that time and before the result would come out, we had a long break. Nani, I do.
You will do something.
I had 2 babies.
I do.
You will be responsible for one auntie's baby. You won't have the time for your phone. Sometimes the babies will be crying. My mom will say, pass a phone. Meaning is that you back a baby that is hungry. You don't have breast milk, you don't have baby food, you'll now be walking up and down in the hot sun, doing like that for the baby. It was to keep you engaged. There was no chance, no space for that idle mind.
But this actually didn't happen through an unengaged mind. This person is...
No, we're just saying...
That's part of it.
I'm just bringing it back to society.
Prophet K1llings from Ajegule, and I'll come to you, Mariam. Prophet K1llings, welcome. Good morning.
Tope, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, Lima. I'm happy to get you today. I've been calling you several times after I've discussed such a thing with you, but I couldn't get you. Let me just go straight to the point. The society has disappointed us. The security men, the policemen, they have disappointed us. The government has disappointed us. Why I said this is, I'm in Ajegule. I'm a member of the security committee in Ajegule Security Summit, whereby the judiciary also has disappointed us. Whereby you arrest somebody as a cultist, the policeman will release him, collected money from them, mostly all this rank and file. Collected money from them, and whereby some of the police officers are cultists also. Where will you run to? They will not come back to you. The cultists will not come back to you and fight you back. If not the present Lagos State City office that has been promoted to AIG now, kudos to Adeleke. Kudos to him. A lot of police officers, they are in they are cultists.
Prophet K1llings, well, that last comment was his opinion, but we will celebrate. I think we should. I love the fact that they celebrated specific police officers, because while we always quick to talk about they are collecting bribe, the ones that are doing the right things, we should mention their name and celebrate them. Mariam.
Yes. So I was going to say that at first when I was describing kidnappers, how we saw kidnappers. These were people who were much older, were engaged in nothing. Evil was just their job.
Criminal.
Yes. But now we have students in school. And you know what is even scarier is that this is a fellow, sometimes it happens to like your fellow students who you've been in school with for years, who in your mind you feel that you know this person to an extent. You have built a relationship and you have some trust for this human being. And because you're in a setting of school, you would never think that there's
All of us are trying to get a
yes,
degree.
you never think that such a person, exists around you. So that's what makes it even scarier, because at this point you can trust no one. But now let's talk about why I feel this is so rampant. I think social media has a lot to do with it. And I mean in the way that a lot of materialism is being showcased on social media. So here you are.
Wealth.
Yes. So here you are. Or it may even be traceable. It does not matter. So someone comes online and shows their palatial houses and their clothes and shoes and their travel and everything. You, 22-year-old, 21-year-old in university, you're here thinking, I want that life now. I want it as, I want it as well, and I want it right now. Meanwhile, you don't know the story, because we don't also tell that story. The story of how we have worked hard, how, hard work is even much better than, all these things that we're showing around. So we have, inadvertently, we've been preaching materialism over hard work, over character building. So our young ones, all they see is money, and, all our songs and that we listen to now also contributes in a way that if you don't have money, you're nothing. If you're a big boy, you're everything. So you're thinking, I want to be a big boy as well. I want to be able to do all these things. So we have to look at ourselves, all of us, because this society is not a society that is from space. We're all society. In what ways are we contributing to this menace that is materialism? Then there's the second one, which is we're so afraid also of calling out evil. And I can understand why, in many cases, why that happens. But you go to like a really high-end, expensive store. You see teenagers or barely above teenage age boys coming. They look like, you can tell that they don't look like they can afford it, but they are affording it more than anyone else. They are buying this. Or you hear people say, in my estate, this particular new buildings, they have bought it. If you see the cars that they drive in, but everybody is just looking. Nobody is saying anything. Because one, if you say something, the repercussions, yes, you can be the victim of whatever lifestyle it is that they're going through. Now, you also mentioned police officers. It's good to hail them when they do something good. And there have been stories where they have followed up, and we thank them for that. But there are also stories that we have heard. And because sometimes family and relatives have been involved, where the only way that crime could have been committed was because our security personnel, our police, have been compromised. So there are still bad eggs within the police force, and a lot of work has to be done at that level as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, so speaking with what Miriam said, like the second part of where you were saying about the social media thing, all the high, whatever. I remember there was this parents to play a vital role too in promoting this thing. Okay, so I remember there was a time my daughter came back and she said that there's this teenage whatever, it's like a store like that. You go and then they will have a show and then you buy stuff there. I followed her there. Parents came to drop their kids. If you see what the children were wearing, kind of clothes that they were in, you could see them, all of them in designer stuff, at just 18, 16, 17, 18. They're wearing, designer shoes, designer, everything design. And then the clothes that they were selling there were like $500. They were not even selling in Nigerian currency. They're selling $500, $1,000, like that. So expensive. So family too, those kind of things, they will grow with the fact that, I need to keep having this kind of designers. And if they want to keep up with that lifestyle, it costs money to keep up with that lifestyle.
Can do the work.
They should do the work, but they will not want to do the work. They will not be looking for fast ways to do this thing. I remember I was in a salon.
Because we don't really talk about the work.
Yes. We don't talk. So I remember I was in a salon, and there was this guy that's the woman, she was making her hair. The next thing they called her son called her and said his friend took him to one room, and then he went out and he locked the room after him. And he saw the friend discussing with some of the guys downstairs. He was like, mommy, something is wrong. Because the way he saw the environment, he just sensed that something was wrong. Good. And immediately the mom got up. She called the dad. Fortunately, the dad was in VI. He had to access quickly to Lekki because it was happening at Lekki. Quickly went there, and that was how they rescued their boy. If not, that boy, usually is your friend that will definitely invite you. Now, that's the saddest part of this whole thing.
Let me take Peter from Magodo. Welcome to the show. Good morning, Mr. Peter.
Good morning, your view. I really want to appreciate this your station for always calling out the evil that is happening in our land. God will continue to bless all of you because this is the only station as of now that is at least bringing this into light. I don't know, this issue of ritual killing and Yahoo plots and all that, I think the government needs to declare an emergency on this area. But it's quite unfortunate that the government cannot even think it towards this side, doesn't even confine them. As long as their children are in abroad or going to Dubai to study, going to UK to stay, all these things doesn't confine them. Every day, especially in Osun State, in Kogi State, in Ondo State, all these areas are the most good area in this thing. This thing, all the native doctors are just giving children, talking them into drinking body parts, just to make wealth. And secondly, our society is becoming something else. Nobody wants to even hear. If you come to my street in Magodo, the whole of the Lagos State, the whole of Magodo, the whole of Isheri, if Yahoo is just like a normal thing, man. Nobody cares. 15-year-old is buying lessons. One just passed the lady in my street. I was just looking and saying, well, I would like to. Every time I cry, I mean, what I'm thinking, is it where my own children will grow up? Is it what they are coming up to face? If nothing is happening now, I'm sorry. I need to take a little time. When Buhari came to power, I thought maybe they were coming to cleanse Nigeria, but it's unfortunate that Buhari trusted nothing happened. That means nobody can repeat this country again. Lai Mohammed, those days when they were in power, I would text that Lai Mohammed and tell him what is going on. He wouldn't say anything, but if I praise him on something, that's when he will reply me. That was when I knew that we are finished. Thank you so much and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Peter. I want us to talk a bit more about having our guards up because it is Yoruba will say kokorotinje for ara for lower. Like for something to kill you, it's close to you. In most of these young killings, the one in the universities, they tend to happen by being entrapped by those around. Maybe your boyfriend or someone is asking you out, or they are luring them through social media and they're like sexting the person and then they say, come and let's meet each other, or using money to attract. I think it's important for us to start, what we're talking about it is so that we can people can have their guards up. Our children should have their guards up. You should be able to do what your friend, the person in the salon beside you was able to do. The child was able to call the mom and say, there's something funny going on here. I don't go out often enough to see Yahoo boys, but when I travel, because I'm not in Lagos, when I go to Benin, it is in your face. There's a particular car. It's Benz. There's this particular Benz that everywhere, and they're very young people.
Yes.
They have accidents with the car and abandon it. Like they drop off the car and then they go and buy another one. They drive it without number plates and they drive around. So who can we report to say, and you will not be looked at like a witchy auntie or witchy nosy neighbor, because we do need nosy neighbors right now to be able to say that can you just...
We have
that system doesn't work.
We need to be able to highlight the fact that these people, there are 3 people that they just moved into this place, 4 boys living in the same 2-bedroom, and they're all driving this car. We don't know what they're doing. Just come and ask.
So we've rendered the concerned neighbor to a gossip. And that's a sad reality. Some time back, I talked about the woman who wouldn't breastfeed her baby.
Yes.
And I said it was a personal decision. I would be on top of it. So this woman had 2 babies before. She does really nothing. She just, she's a housewife, less busy person, but she chooses to drop the babies and just go on a waka waka kind of thing, not breastfeeding the babies. It was a topic around the neighborhood. Everybody, why is this woman doing like this? But nobody would call the woman to order. I was wondering, but this is not how society works. Yeah. It's not supposed to be a topic. It's supposed to be why is this happening? It's supposed to be a concern you address. And so after 2 people sharing, I just went and said, you must breastfeed your baby exclusively. I don't see the reason why not. And she was shocked. I brought her to tears. I said the harsh words to her, and I saw her change. Usually when I come in and there's a new baby around, I want to carry the baby from here. I don't do for this particular one. I check on the baby and say, hey, she's improving now. Do the right thing. Let them call you that name. Do it. That's society. It's now become, because me, I don't want her to say, no. How did you get here?
Well, you can't. It's not able to go and meet all those boys. Look very, very. When you see those boys, look very, very hard. You can't go and talk to them.
They will know you, but they will know to stay away from you. because of your stand. But you must take that stand. Yeah. What we don't do now, we don't take the stand.
Are you going to ask somebody what they are doing for a living?
If you are a young boy born around me, I will ask you what you are doing for a living. Your failure to answer me, you will know not to be around me. You won't come to you're not welcome around me. You're not welcome to my house. You can't be a nephew, cousin, niece, and you're welcome to my house without a means of, it's not possible. Nobody possible. Maybe because I know, because of this way I am safe. They don't. So
you're saying based on your relationship with the person?
Yes. Okay. So instead of making it, mama, somebody's child is not well raised. Why not tell the child?
You know, most of these Yahoo boys, most of them, they are the ones that rent all this Airbnb. They're always there. That's the hub where they carry out this whole thing. And also, they are also involved in this ritual killing. Let's even find out where these ritual killings that they are doing, these body parts, who do they take them to? Who are the people that demand for them?
That'll be from
we have our politicians. Yeah, so you know, we're not even mentioning those ones too. The politicians are part of this.
The ones that are covering now.
Then we're also some politicians. Is there. then the Yahoo boys, because also when they click the deal, they want it to click. So somebody has made it in their head that once they take part in all this ritual stuff, it's going to make it happen. So now all these things are happening because of money. Just like you said, once we bring somebody to book and we're able to, pass the law or something on them, it will drastically reduce. It will really reduce.
Yeah. Okay, so, there used to be a time, I think it still happens, when something bad or gruesome happens to a woman, the first thing you hear is, women, be careful. It used to irritate me. I'm like, is it about the woman or about the killer, murderer, rapist? But, who lured her? And it used to irritate me then because these were people who, especially in cases where a girl has done exactly what she's meant to do. She is where she's meant to be. She's not out too late. She's not dressed any sort. And this sort of thing happens. And, people seem to still find a way to blame the woman. But, looking at that, having said that, which is, for me, it was for society to think again about who the real victim was and who the perpetrator of a crime is, be able to separate the two. But now, but this conversation also does not mean that girls should not be careful. So when I was growing up, I remember my mom worked so hard. And sometimes I will have to take my sister to school or come back. And I'll have to take like 2 taxis before I get home. But there was a sort of person that my mom would describe. Don't enter any car. Don't enter a car with tinted whatever. Don't let anybody offer you lift. So I sort of knew these were the things, as a child in primary school, I'm not even talking secondary school, these were the things I had to, that were in my head. And when I see something that looks like it, I don't even wait to find out if the thing is bad or not. I just know that these are the markers that my mom has given me to protect myself. Now for young girls, this conversation is not the same as young girls, be careful because it's your fault. But also, like my mom did for me, I think we should also have some markers so that we can protect ourselves. You see these relationships where you get into with young boys who have wealth that you cannot explain, and you're just excited about being with a young boy with wealth that you cannot explain. It's a red flag. Be careful of such relationships. Don't get into intimate relationships with them. Don't even be friends with them, because how they make their money may be something that would involve having to use you for rituals. And I'm not only talking to girls, boys too. Don't be friends with boys that are like that, because there have been cases of young boys that have taken their friends to these places for sacrifices. So do not be impressed by someone who's showing you wealth and there's no way to show for how they have worked for that wealth. So it's not to just blame the victim here, it's that we also need to pay more attention to some things. Parents, a young man comes to your house, he has all this wealth, he's showering you with all these gifts because of your daughter. You don't know him from anywhere, you don't know how that child is making money, but you're excited and you're collecting it. That is also a red flag for you, So these are the things that we need to remember and remind ourselves so that we protect ourselves from evil people like this.
Thank you so much, Mariam. It is a good note for us to round off this segment. We would have our, the things that she has said, the things that we've all said can become talking points in families, in discussions, so that we can start educating ourselves and educating others to question what we don't know, question materialism, question greed. We'll be bringing in a celebrity guest onto the show. I would like to ask him the impact of Nollywood on this materialism ritual killing, because the first time I heard of ritual killing, it was in movies. I didn't even think it was real.